Man Listening is simply a podcast in which one man, me, an older man, older, cisgender, straight, white guy, tries to learn to listen to women better by practicing it. As a discipline, it's not always perfect. Today's a little bit different. It may trigger some people because I'm talking to a friend of mine who is particularly classically beautiful. And so I just out with it and just say that. So, and about how that's distracting, how that interferes with a kind of direct communication. So that may bug some people, trigger alert. Some people may think that it's inappropriate or whatever. I'm not crude or crass. I'm just honest about it. So just heads up before you listen. Thanks.
But I had no idea or awareness at all that I had control over my emotions. I thought it was everybody outside of me. I thought everything externally was in charge of my emotion.
What is the sound of one man listening? This is Man Listening, a fresh podcast featuring the stories of strong women who bounce back. Man Listening, because every woman deserves to be heard.
Hi, I'm Stuart Watson, and welcome to Man Listening. Once upon a time, Mara Palermo was prey to her emotions. They controlled her. If someone insulted her or picked on her, she'd punch him in the face. Man, woman, didn't make a difference. That is a day in the past. Mara is now in control of her emotions. She has, in effect, mastered herself, and now she's teaching it to others. And I'm proud to say she's my friend. She's come a long way. Now, Mara Palermo. Where were you born?
I was born in Lewiston, New York.
Hospital or home?
Hospital.
Okay.
Hospital. Mount St.
Lewiston
Mary's.
is near...
Lewiston is near, it's right on the border where Canada, Niagara Falls, Canada is, and right next to like Niagara Falls, New York. So
Okay.
It's like right there. So just
Did
like
you ever go to the falls? Did you go to the falls very often, or was that just...
Oh yeah, all the time.
For your mother, you're number what of how many?
I am number 3 of 4.
Okay. So
Yes.
were you the middle child? Were you a little bit lost?
Yeah.
A little bit not noticed?
Yes, of course. I was more that. Yeah, I was definitely more like the, and I guess like, because there was 4 of us, so I don't know if it's like the second and third or like the middle child, but I was definitely, for sure, yes.
Girls, boys?
All girls.
All girls.
All 4 of us. Yep, all of us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And for purposes of understanding Mara, what should I know about your mother?
Oh, Linda, she's lovely.
Still with us?
Yes, she's still with us. Actually, my mother and my father both moved to Charlotte, so now they're here. They're going on 1 year. But yeah, my mother was like the oldest of 5, and so she came from a very like strong, strict Italian family. You know, my grandfather was, whoa, no joke. So my mother was the oldest, so she's very much like that caretaker, the martyr, like the always doing for others and stuff, and not really ever doing too much for herself. So, then she had us, and so she was just busy taking care of us, and then my sister started having kids, and then she was, obviously helping them. So she's always like, taking care of somebody, and that's why they moved down here.
Is it weird for you not having kids?
Sometimes, and then I think it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. So I don't really know if I am missing anything or not, because I haven't had them, right? Now, I will say when I was around my nieces and nephews, I think because I had so many at such a young age, I was very fulfilled with that, because I was around, 8 of them, so, which was really nice. But there are times where now, like sometimes I think about that, I'm like, oh, because if I see my nieces and nephews that are older, and I'll see like my nephew's in college now, so is my niece, so it's kind of cool to see them, like at that age, and that we can go and do things together. Like tomorrow, for example, my niece is coming here, and I'm taking her to the gym that I go to. So we're gonna work out together. I took my nephew
So you're the cool aunt.
Oh yeah.
They like to hang with
They
you.
like to. Yeah, they definitely do. So I'm like the cool one, the favorite one, whatever you want to call it, usually. So.
My wife keeps telling me that I ask a lot of really rude questions. And
I'm used to you, Stuart.
And so if this is rude, say so. But people who have children, I ask them if they plan that.
Yeah.
And people who don't have children, I ask them if they plan that.
Yeah.
And some people who have children regret it.
Yes.
So there's a generational thing. I mean, in the 5-6 years I've known you, you've been fluid about that.
Right. I think it just was like, there were times where I'm like, because it was like a no for me for a while. It was.
When you were in your
I would say,
20s?
Yeah, because I remember when my sister started having kids, and I was around, because I was probably about, I don't know, 18 or 19, maybe 20-ish, I can't remember exactly the age, but they were young, because like my one sister was like 19, I think, and I think I was maybe, 20, and then my other sister was maybe like 21 when she had, so to me, that was younger, having kids. So when they started having kids, it happened so quickly that one of my sisters was pregnant for 10 years straight. One had 3 kids.
Oh, so you're saying one or the other of the sisters was pregnant?
One of my sisters was pregnant for 10 years straight.
Okay.
So, because I have 8 nieces and nephews. So I was like helping my sisters with, I love my nieces and nephews, it was great. But then I was like really was able to see their life change so much, and I was able to see how much work it really was, all the things, right? First
24/7.
24/7. And there's a lot, like I said, there was a lot of kids. Like my one sister was pregnant at the same time the other one was, so there was a lot going on in my family and how the whole dynamic changed. And so that's where I realized at that moment, I was like, okay, I am taking my time with this. I knew that. Because I was like, this is a lot. So, and I just wasn't in that place. I was like younger. I wasn't thinking of like getting married or having kids, that kind of thing. And
was it, I want to have fun? Was
Yeah.
it, I want a career, I want to make money, I want to...
Yeah, and at that time, like, I graduated high school and went right into, started doing hair and nail, like started doing lashes, started doing all the things, in beauty. So that was something that I was really passionate about, fell in love with, and so I just like threw myself into that, which, that's what I wanted to do. And then as I, grew a clientele when I was younger quickly, then like, I think I was like maybe 24 at that time, going on 24, that's when I decided to open my own salon. So for me, a lot of my focus, attention, all of that was like building up a business, and I never did that before. It was so scary. So a lot of things, I learned so much doing that, but that was where my focus was. And so for me to even think of like having a child and like doing all that, I was like, it just wasn't what I wanted to do, so.
You are still so beautiful that it's intimidating to me.
Why?
I mean, you're my friend. We're really good friends, but it's hard for me to talk to you because I just see somebody who's so beautiful. It's distracting.
Stuart, thank you.
Well, but it's distracting. And I'm wondering, when you're around heterosexual men,
Yes.
how often does it happen that you're like, this person doesn't even see me?
Yes, often. I just had this conversation with a friend yesterday. I think what it is because people they see, like even people that know me, they're just like, how are you single? How are you single? Blah, 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 like all the things, and I'm like, well, I don't know. But the funny thing about it was yesterday, one of my friends, and he's always been my friend since like high school, nothing ever more than that, but he was talking about that. He was like, he said something about, he's like, you're intimidating, same thing, like what you just said. And I was like, I don't even understand that. And that's what I said. He was like, well, guys are either going to see you for, see you and like, for like who you are and like, like, he's like, cause he said something like, whoever marries you is lucky or something like that. And I was like, well, thanks. And then I was like, I don't know. I was like, guys are kind of weird, I feel like sometimes. But he thinks like he was saying towards me, not weird towards me, but he was like, I think it's intimidating. There's like insecurities, things like that. And I was like, I don't know. Sometimes I think I take it personal.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm like, do they not like me? It's like that. Like I take it like it was, but then he's like, no, it's just kind of like, it's almost like it's intimidating. It's like, I don't, like, you just said like you're distracted. I'm like, what? I don't know what that means because I'm not a guy. So.
Well, to me, the thing that made you real was when I learned that in like high school and even going, that you've got that, you will cut a bitch. You will. Like when you did Mary Kay and the woman was kind of like snotty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you were like, I will take her out. Like you got in fights in high school, right?
No. Yes, that was me. I was definitely.
Like what's something you would get in a fight over? Like a physical fight?
Yeah, I would. I wasn't much of a.
Wasn't there like a brawl one time? like what the cops involved or something like that?
Story.
Tell me that story.
Oh my God. What the heck? There were cops. I had to think. There's been a few different times.
There was a boy. Was it a boy or was it?
Well, later I found out it was because of a boy that I had no. See, I didn't know. I had no idea. But this.
Oh, but these were your friends.
Yeah. Well, which one are we talking about?
Tell me the one where the cops were called and your.
Oh God.
And your parents were like, Mara, what the hell? You know. Tell me a good one.
Oh God, there's so many. Well, there was this time. See, okay, I'll just put it to you this way. There's a lot of times where I'm not really like a big like shit talker like that. When it comes to people, I was more of like if someone like kind of would like do something to me or a friend or something like that, usually, I would just end up doing something physical back. I would just kind of like end it, I guess.
Was it because of you? Or were you sticking up for a friend?
Oh, it was both. Like this one time, like for example, my sister, I was very protective over my sister. That she's a year younger than I am. So I always was always looking out for her because she was very passive and very like she was scared of everything. She just wasn't that kind of, which is fine, but it was just I was always like the older sister protecting her. So she'd like anytime something would happen, I'd be like, oh, whatever, what's going on, and that was probably partially my fault because I enabled that. Her ex, at that time, they weren't together or anything, but his sister was out and she was starting shit with my sister, and I was like, let's get out of here. Let's just go.
So you first tried to defuse
I did.
it.
I first tried.
You weren't picking a fight.
Nope. And so I was like, let's just go. And so her and I ran out of. So we left this little like bar or whatever, and I was like, let's go. This is like so long ago. I mean, it was like early 20s. And so I was like, and so we were leaving, and she starts chasing us like out of the bar. She's screaming, calling my sister all sorts of names, and I still at this point was still trying to be like, just get in the car. Let's just go. So she gets in the car, and the driver's. I get in the car, and the passenger, and she's running, and she was like drunk and just whatever, and I was still trying to not do anything, and
were y'all drunk?
No, honestly, I think we like had maybe a few, but we weren't. That's why I was like, let's just get out of here. So when we were in the car, she comes running, follows us down, and she comes to the side of my door, and she kicks my car door, like the car door side, and that is when that set me off. And that was when I was like, I'll go from like 0 to like 1,000. So I just remember kind of.
You came out of the car.
Yeah. Well, I remember I opened the door. I think I unlatched it, and I think I kicked the door open. And so when it swung open, it hit her. And then the police said I looked like I was out like a wild pack dog. That's what their words were.
Pit bull with lipstick.
Yes. They're like, what? They're like, you got out of that car like
Pit bull in party clothes.
Yeah, and like jumped on her like I've never seen anything like this
Did they
before.
have video of this?
No, but they just watched it for a minute because they were like, I've never seen anything like it. Because I mean, I definitely
Watched it for entertainment?
Yeah, entertainment. They did. They were like, and then they noticed the one police officer recognized me, so he was like, oh my God, he was like, I think that's, Mara, like.
I go to church with her mother.
Exactly. So I was like, so they come running over, and then literally all of a sudden, like I feel like someone like pull me off of her. They were like, he
So this is like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah,
You're not
like,
really thinking. I mean, this is all
it's
like
just
rage.
Like rage at that point. I mean, I was like on top of her. They were like, oh my God. So they picked me off of her, and he like whispered in he was like, Mara, like he was like, okay, get out of here. Just like go. They let my sister and I go. They just like, just get out of here. So we hopped back into the car, we left. And it was funny because I had like this hat and I had earrings, but obviously somehow, and I knew his wife because she was like a client of like one of the other stylists. So she like comes to like the salon and brings my hat and earring, joking around. She's like, I don't know why my husband has this, but I think this belongs to you, joking. I was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, thanks. He was like, I've never seen anything like that before. And I was thinking, I was like, well, that's great. But so that was just like one of many,
So have you ever punched out a man?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Over what?
Well, that was interesting. That was actually the last time I ever got physical with someone. I was I was dating someone, and I went to his company party with him. Met him there, but by that time, it was later in the evening, and like everyone, I was like expecting something different, I guess, because when I got there, I felt like I was at this big frat party, because everyone was like, the men were just, couldn't even walk, they were so drunk. So anyways, something had transpired, blah, 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 and there was some, between this guy and, just they're drunk, and they're like wrestling around, some nonsense started. And so then I'm like, I just want to get out of here, and I was sober. So when I was walking up his boss is the owner of the company's like very much like a functioning alcoholic, maybe, you know what I mean? Like he's, so he drink, I mean, we're used to him like that. So, but he's very, abusive with his mouth, like he's just can get reckless with it. So when I was leaving, I said something to him like, what's going on? I turned around and he was drunk, but he went off on me
and said
he was like, shut the fuck up, you fucking bitch, and get the fuck out of here. That's what he said. And so then I gave him a black eye.
You punched him in the eye?
I did.
Did he do anything?
No, he didn't. No, I punched him in the face. I did. I mean, it was just like a reaction. Like when he came at me like that, I was like...
Did you get an assault charge out of that?
No, he deserved it. And he apologized, not to me, but he apologized to my boyfriend at the time for it. Because he was like...
Apologized immediately or later?
Later. Because I don't even think he didn't even... It probably didn't even... I don't even know if it fazed him or not, but I punched him. But then everyone came running over, and they were like, oh my God. Like, I was like... I gotta get out, because I was literally like, I have got to get out of here.
Were you
I could
shaking?
Yeah, because I could feel that coming, and I was like, no, I have got to go. So, yeah.
And that's been 5-6 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time, yeah. It's got to be longer than that. 6 years, 7, yeah. But, I mean, for that, for me, I just was like, whoa. And, I left the next day. I left there, and then like the next day I found out they were like, yeah, he's a black guy. I was like,
so what I'm wondering is,
whoops.
You have, like I don't know if you have a boyfriend now.
No.
But when you have a boyfriend, you're living with somebody.
Yeah.
And you guys have an argument or a disagreement about something.
Yeah.
Could be the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Or who does the laundry, or
yeah.
who's
doing this?
Who's gonna cook pasta?
Who's cooking tonight?
Right.
Right.
But if you have something that it's a perpetual kind of a thing, what is a healthy argument and what is an unhealthy? What's a healthy disagreement and what's an unhealthy thing for you with with a man who's like a partner?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, obviously that story was extreme, and he wasn't. But there's differences. Like since then, I have been in like a relationship where I can tend to be like one or the other. It's like I can tend to either be like, I can just shut down for a second. I'm more like that, where I need to like collect myself.
Get really quiet.
I get really quiet. I'm like, okay, let me
watch out.
Let me just calm down for a second. And then it's like having that conversation, one, because sometimes it's like, what am I really looking for? Because sometimes I would just like go off of like whatever would just like trigger me or piss me off at that moment. And then it's like, wait, there's something else that's going on. So sometimes it might be a need that I just need to meet myself, or it's something that I really feel like needs to be addressed. And, I'm definitely going to say something about it, try to do it in a calm manner. Or there's like the other part where I'm just like, sometimes I'll say something and then I'm like, wait, that might not have came out right. Okay, let me revisit that again, So if it's something that's like healthier, or just to get my point across, it's something that I can just share,
Well, I have a selfish reason for asking this.
Why is that?
That is because I'm trying to learn how to be angry.
Okay.
Without getting angry.
Got it.
That is how to articulate, I'm very angry at you because blank.
Yeah.
And usually, especially men and women,
yes, is
you're not listening to me. You're not hearing me.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where what I've learned, and like I said, I realized one of the things I would do. It's like I'd go off and be like, put that on them, like you're pissing me off right now, or I'm really whatever. And then when I started to really learn how to own my own emotions, instead of being like, I'm angry at you or you're pissing me off or whatever it was, like I would, even just by me saying like, I'm feeling very blank right now, like that's my feeling, because to be honest, it's our feelings, right? They're triggering them. Their behavior, they're doing something, but it's still something that's going on internally. So if I'm like, hey, like I'm pissed right now, like I'm feeling uncomfortable, I try to get a little bit more in, like, what am I really feeling? Like, yes, the anger's there, the frustration's there.
Okay, let's say you go to a party now and everybody's drunk.
Yes.
And you see men wrestling on the floor, and you're like, this is a frat party, this is a bad scene. I get the fuck out of here. And so you grab the person that you came to see and say, I'm not about this. I'm gonna leave.
That's probably what I would have done now.
So today, 6 years hence,
yes.
6.5 years hence, you just walk away?
Yeah.
You don't punch anybody in?
Nope. Because I did, actually, it's funny that you said that, because I did that a few weeks ago. I went with one of my friends, like he's a guy, but it's not like that. But it was just like, he wanted...
Just a guy friend.
Yeah, he's just a guy friend.
And
he was like, I was with my girlfriend, she didn't want to go out, and then I was like, well, I'll go meet him, because we were all going to meet up. So it just ended up being him and I. So when I got there, and I didn't really know too many of his friends, but it was okay, but I just knew, like, even when I was there, I was like, this was okay. And I probably would have been here like 5 years ago, but this really isn't my scene, right? So, and the guy that I was like with, he's like drinking, whatever, and having a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, I think I had like maybe one drink. I wasn't drunk at all. And so towards the end, it was like maybe 12:30 going on 1, and all of a sudden, like, he was about to fight this guy, stuff like that. And then I turn, like, did I miss something here? Like, how did this just happen? And so this girl is like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. She's telling me the story. And so I literally just put my drink down. I walked over. I said, you know what? I'm calling it a night. I'll see you later. And I just left.
No black eyes.
No black eye.
Mara's not in the middle of it.
I'm not in the middle of it. I don't care.
No pit bull.
This isn't my stuff. I didn't even care I didn't even want to be around that. Like, to me, it was just like, this isn't really what I want to do. I'd rather just go home, go to bed, get up and go to the gym in the morning. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I just was like...
And so the next day, your friend, so you're like, peace out.
Yeah. He apologized. He's like, I'm really sorry. I just didn't want you to, I'm sorry that you even had to see that. And I was like, you don't even have to apologize. I'm good.
I'm a guy, I worked with a guy once, a million years ago.
Yeah.
And at a traffic light, he put his car in park, walked over, pulled somebody out of their car and beat the shit out of them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And he comes to work and he's just shaking.
Oh,
so
wow.
people who are like the victims of their own emotions, it doesn't serve them well.
No.
Like, it's not like hey, I guess I showed him I did the right thing. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's almost like an addict, like a rage addict.
Because that's how I was. I'd go crazy. I'd be like 0 to 1,000, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, what even happened? Why do I even care? All the things. And then I'd feel worse about myself because I allowed that to happen. But I had no idea, awareness at all that I had control over my emotions. I thought it was everybody outside of me. I thought everything externally was in charge of my emotions, and I was just, allowing that to happen.
We're talking about different kinds of scenarios.
Oh, yeah.
So go back to
I love how Stuart loves to talk about the fights. I love it.
Well, look, that's, it makes you real. So you and your partner, male partner, and y'all disagree on what would be a good, who pays the rent, or what's a good example?
I mean, I'm trying to think of because I haven't had a boyfriend in a long time. It's been a couple of years, I think.
Is that a good thing?
No, it's a great thing for me. I mean, it's been great. I'm not at all complaining about it. I'm just trying to think of, but see, those weren't really the issues. I feel like they were bigger ones. He was in a hurry all the time. He wanted all of the things. He wanted me to move, get married, have kids. He wanted all the big things all at one time, and then also...
But y'all wouldn't fight about that.
Oh, well, I shouldn't say that we wouldn't fight. I felt like with him, he was very emotional, which there's nothing wrong with that at all, because I obviously want someone
being passionate is a good thing.
It's a good thing, and having emotion, I like to see that. I don't mind that at all. What it was, though, I feel was there was a lot of his own tons of insecurities and things like that were stifling, because it was no matter what I did, it was never enough. There was it was what I was doing was I was seriously trying to make him feel better about himself or something like that, which started getting exhausting for me. And so I think he was always concerned too, if I was doing work or doing stuff and a lot of my business stuff and things especially my new business that I just started recently was a lot of things online. This is starting a long time ago, but there was always these insecurities of if I'm not paying attention to him, if there's somebody, there's always wondering if there was someone else kind of thing, and I was no, so it was that, and then it became more and more I felt my world was closing in, because he wanted to have more control. He wanted to have my passwords to things. You know what I mean? It was no matter what, there was more insecure, there was just more and more. And I was just felt I was being boxed in.
Is it easier to articulate a boundary with a woman than it is with a man? Do women may come over that boundary?
Yeah.
She may kick the damn car door.
Right.
But at least you have said,
whoa,
bitch, walk away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you hearing me?
Yeah.
I mean, you may not.
You're chasing after us. You're literally chasing after us.
So do women hear that from other women more clearly than men do?
I feel it depends on the person, because some women just could care less, too. And also with men, I think it depends. Like I said, if they have that level of respect, I think that they can hear you. And if they're willing and they want to, I think that and if they even know what boundaries are, respect, have some of their own, then I think that they would understand the value in boundaries. But I feel when you're saying it to someone who's maybe unhealthy in that department, and you're hey, this is a boundary, it sets them off I took it almost like I was trying to set this boundary, but then it was like I was keeping him out. Do you see what I'm saying? Or like I'm hiding something. If I was like, no, you can't have my passwords to all my, no, we're not doing that, for example. It's like, well, what do you have to hide? Do you see what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, where I was like, no, it's just, there's no reason for it, you know? I don't want your passwords. Because he's like, well, here's mine. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to go through your stuff.
It became not about the passwords, it's about whether you have a private life.
Exactly. And he didn't want that.
Like my wife doesn't read my journaling. Not that she could read my scribble, but I mean, and we've been together for 42 years.
Yeah.
Been married for 38, and she doesn't read that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Even when I type it up.
Yeah. Because you're still you. You're still you. You know, you have your own personal things, you know, and you have your own stuff and like your own thoughts or whatever it is. And, you know, that's like it's like your own space so that you can express yourself and be you, right? So it's like I don't see why she would want to look at all that stuff.
I'm trying to get to what's a fair fight and what's an unfair fight. Like what's a productive, vigorous discussion that's productive, that gets us somewhere, as opposed to just a pointless fight.
Well, I feel like it's the intention behind it, right? So I feel like for me, like if I go back and I look at the things, you know, like even that has transpired in relationships and stuff, I feel like there's like this intention. And so that's one thing, like now moving forward, I'm very like, what is the outcome I'm trying to achieve here? Because if I'm coming at you just to come at you back and forth, that's not productive. Because if there's an issue, like you were saying, like who's going to pay this bill or like whatever it is, right? I feel like let's focus on like that instead of like we're not like against each other. We're like, I don't want to say against that problem, but kind of that instead. And I think that's where, for me, that's where like the shift has been, because it's like, all right, well, we don't need to go back and forth like that personally. I think it's just like if this needs to be paid, you know, where are we at with this? You know what I mean?
Has a man ever cried?
Yeah.
Because of the fight or because of something else?
Sometimes I think it's all sorts of things that men have cried over. But
and your response when they start crying was?
I just sit there. It depends, again, with the person. Like I allow it, or like I know like my last one, for example, he liked it when I would, you know, like if I were to console him, I guess, in that way, you know what I mean? He liked that because he would get very stuck in he kind of would shut down too. But like if I would go there to kind of break that, then it would be okay.
He's a good bit younger than you.
No, this one was not.
Oh, that.
Yeah, no, this one was not. He was my age. He's a year older. This was the last guy I dated. So.
That's very. Did you ever see your dad cry?
Not a lot. No, not at all.
Like when his mother died?
Yeah, like I can remember like when he was doing the eulogy for my grandfather, my mom's dad, like he started to like, you know, wanting to cry, but he caught himself. Like it's very few times, you know.
Are you more comfortable hanging out with a group of women or hanging out with a group of guys?
Men.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you grew up with all those sisters?
I don't know why. So I've always been like that though.
And so women who say, like if a woman goes in, you're doing her hair and you guys talk all the time, you know, and if a woman says, I just don't understand men, what'll follow after that? What would she say? I don't understand men because blank.
Well, yeah, it's the generalization, right? It would be like a generalization of men. It'd be like, because men are blank. They're dumb. They're assholes. They're this. They're that. They're all the, you know, right? And so then...
Like why do they have to fight?
Yeah. And then, like, women chime in, and they just kind of go down that rabbit hole.
And what do you say if somebody says, I just don't understand men?
Like, I don't either.
But that's not true.
No, it's not true.
I mean, what do you understand, men, that if you were to share with her?
Well, the thing is that they're different. Like, they're just different. They're wired different. They're not, I mean, they're not going to think like us. They don't even look like us. Like, so for us to be like, oh my God, I can't understand men, it's okay to not, understand men in that way. You know what I mean? And I do believe that, like, men are different, but they're similar, right? So then it's like, it's depending on like what it is, what is it that you don't understand about them?
Well, increasingly, there's not this binary thing. It's all over the map.
Yeah.
So we're talking about very traditional kind of,
Yeah.
this is the old Italian, this is the ancient dance. And we're still having a really hard time, I think, with that.
With what? You mean just like...
with the old binary.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone, I personally think with women, and I don't know about men, but I guess, and I'm not speaking for all the women, but when I listen to women, obviously I've worked with so many women, in the beauty industry, so it's very intimate setting. So that's probably 90% of the conversation, right? Is about the relationships. It's about all those things. But I do believe that, the way that our family was, the way that we were brought up, there's so many different like beliefs, right? And ideas of what a guy should be like or isn't like or whatever from our own experiences, and then also what society throws at you. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like...
My kids are forever saying to me, gender is a construct, gender is made, and I said, a penis is not a construct, and estrogen, testosterone, those are not constructs. And so your brain behaves a certain way because it's got this chemical pumping through it.
Yeah.
It's not because you're an asshole.
No.
It's because your brain has generated this chemical.
Yeah.
And we're also human fucking beings. We're spirits. And so eventually we should pay attention and get a grip.
Yeah. I think it's just all of our shit is, like when it comes to, our, like I said, like the way, like our beliefs, past experiences, trauma, all the things is like what it starts to create, our views on the opposite sex even, so.
Do you believe we live more than one life?
I do.
Like, how does that go?
I believe that we're spirit. Like right now I'm like in this skin suit, and enjoying this, and I feel like it's when I pass away, like my flesh is gonna die out, but my spirit's gonna move on, and I might come back as a human again.
And like, do you think you've been here before many, many times, or?
Yeah.
Have you had any inkling as to what those incarnations were?
Cleopatra.
Oh, you think you were Cleopatra?
I think yeah.
All of us were Cleopatra?
Yeah. At some point.
Well, all of us were actually Cleopatra, or just...
Well, it's funny because we've all been someone, you know what I mean, in that way. That's what I believe. Only because like I've had experiences.
But we haven't all been the same person.
Right. But I mean, we've all been like someone before. Which is kind of crazy because like I've done some of that work before where I've gone to these certain places and I've like
How do you
relived
do that?
things. Oh my God. Well, it's...
Are we talking
with the one
take a bunch of hallucinogens, or are we talking
no
trance, or are we talking...
No, well, it's getting into this space, right? Just getting into this place. And I had someone who's able to like guide me through that. So it was pretty cool. And
sounds intense.
It was very intense. And so I was seeing some things from like past lives and stuff like that.
No drugs.
No drugs. Zero drugs. Zero. I can go there right now if I really, wanted to. And it's really cool. But it was an intense experience because I was seeing certain things go on. And that's the other thing too, like things that are showing up in my life now, or like the beliefs or feelings or things I had towards stuff. What's crazy is like, we think it's because of like past experiences or even like our childhood or whatever, but there are things from our past lives that are affecting us now that we don't even know. So once I was able to kind of go into that, and also generationally, there's like all these generations, right? Like our DNA goes way back.
And there's a feeling that we're here to learn something or heal something.
Right. And so the way I look at that, so that's why now getting into like this work as well, and I feel like
this work,
like, the whole transformation, personal development, healing, all that, and getting into work over like I've gotten into multiple different modalities.
What you see as your mission, like why is the Mara Palermo incarnation
here?
Right.
Yeah, so for me, really getting clear on the things that I value the most. And so one of those things, like for example, like I love like growth, expansion, self-love, confidence.
What's
love,
a metric for growth, though?
So
like growth in what way?
So for example, if it's something that I'm like scared to do and I do it.
Give me a for instance.
Like even right now, like sitting here and like just putting all my stuff out there, right there. Like even before that, it was a little bit of like, ooh, who knows what I'm going to talk about. But, it's kind of like, oh, what the fuck, do it anyway. You know what I mean? It's that. It's like, let me go and do that, I don't know, I might see someone and I find him attractive or something like that, and I go talk to him. Do you see what I'm saying? That was something like I would never do.
You could be rejected.
Exactly. All those things, if I wanted to. Just things like that. So that's where, having that, okay, is this going to move me towards that? Am I going to be in alignment with my values or am I not? Because that's like the one thing I just realized was like, when I was going through the things just that I was going through before too, was just like, I was just so out of alignment because I really wasn't grounded into what it is that I actually want to create and who I am, right? And so when I really am like, this is what it is, now what I choose to do, it's easier for me because it's like, nope, that's not really going to take me, has nothing to do with growth. That's kind of like my old identity or that's whatever. So I can stay on this path, I wasn't so clear on that before. And it grows and evolves because I do. So that's where, for me, that's the whole, like, that's my purpose, is staying in alignment, staying in integrity with who I am, what I choose to create, and then also the people that I choose to bring into my life, they have to be in alignment with that.
So what's an example of something that you were like, I feel really good about this. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like, wow, I feel really complete having learned or accomplished, or what's a big one?
Gosh, I think this past year, even like, I think since like COVID, I would say, like right before that, I think I really took on myself on a deeper level through COVID and after the fact. I really just started to really look at myself and all my shit, basically, in the mirror.
Like what's an example of some of your shit that you...
Like just in where I wanted to be, because like my salon was shut down. I was kind of freaked out. Like there was a lot of things coming up, right? And so at that point, I just stayed, like I was in meditation a lot. I just was like, you know what, I can't control this, and I think I surrendered a lot, just kind of allowed, surrendered, really was like focusing on faith, just like trusting. So that was huge.
Do you pray?
Yeah, so.
What does that sound like?
Prayer? Like it just.
No, I mean like, what's an ask? Prayer is petition. What's an ask?
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's not even ask. Sometimes I would just get quiet and I would just be grateful for all the things I have.
Amen.
You know what I mean? It was more that. It was more gratitude. I really started focusing on how it could be worse, and so what I did through COVID was I had a circle, like a prayer circle and a meditation circle. So I did that once a week for people. And so we would hop on and we would just, it would be focusing on like gratitude, but then I would, we would do a meditation. I would take them through like a guided meditation. Then we'd like pray at the end, and that was when I would, but it was funny because people would come on the call so like, all this stuff going on. But then by the time we would, get off the call, everyone would be like in a very calm, grounded, peaceful place.
So you're not a guru, but you are kind of the glue. You're get them together.
Yes, I'm like a
connector.
Yeah, connector. Thank you. Connection's one of my main core values. So that's what it is. So I have to be able to connect. If I can't connect, then you know what I mean. Like, and I can connect well. I feel like with people, it's just sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So that's my thing. And so I would bring that together, and I felt like a sense of community. And so when I was doing that, I just really realized that this was actually for my highest good, COVID, because what that did was I've been wanting to get into having my own coaching business for a long time, but I would put it off, or I'd do things, or I was going through different modalities to learn, but then I still was just like, there was my own fears and my own insecurities. I wasn't perfect. I didn't know all that stuff. So all that stuff started coming up, and that was what I really focused on. Going through it, I was like, I think I'm getting called to something higher. I need to let it's not that I don't love the salon business, because I could do that anywhere, but it was just so eye-opening. Like, here's this space that's all has been created in your schedule, this time, the space, all that. So now is time for you to focus in on your business. And it was crazy. That's why I knew that it was the right choice, because as soon as I made that decision and declared that, all the right people, all the right things really started to open up. And so I was able to, go through this certification, and then I met this amazing person through the certification. His name is Shane, and we just really connected. He lives upstate New York in Rochester area, like only like an hour and a half from where I live. I should say. I've never met him in person yet, but we just really connected. We went through this certification. We were very much in alignment with like who we wanted to serve, what we wanted to do. So we partnered up and created a coaching business together. So, which we just...
Congratulations.
Yes.
I didn't know about that.
We just launched it like a week and a half ago, and we're starting a program.
What's it called?
Self-Mastery Mindset.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a self-mastery mindset coach, and so is he.
Post-COVID, a lot of people sort of took a hard look.
Yes.
And a lot of them started to say, my relationships are more important than my work.
That's it. That's it.
They started saying my health is more, my mental health
100%.
is more important than
yeah.
fame or glory, thank you, Simone Biles,
Yep.
or any of it.
Yep.
That my own growth as a spirit is so much more important than all these other
so much more
things that we count.
Yes. And that's where, when I was saying before, when I was in COVID, I was like, because I was just like the one relationship that I was in before, it ended very stressful. I was very exhausted from that, and so that's where it was like, this was before COVID, but then by the time when I just got to that point where I was like, oh, this is going to be some time like to myself. And I noticed people didn't even know how to be with themselves. And so that was huge. And again, that's where I was like, there's such a need for that, because so many people aren't giving themselves that love, because it's all outside here. Now that the world has been taken away, they're like, well, shit, who am I? Like, what do I want? What do I even, care about? And that was one of the things for myself too, was like, I'm like, I declared that I was like, okay, I'm coming out like a whole new, there's going to be a new version of me. I'm going to take this and create something new, right? That was my thing. And I know some people were like, oh my God, you know, all the things. And I just focused on my health. I focused on everything, like every area of my life. I was still avoiding relationships. I'm not going to lie, in terms of like, you know, like a relationship, because I really just wanted to be with me. I shouldn't say I was avoiding it. I was having that relationship with myself. That's when I started to dive into these different things. And I don't know if you know what attachment styles are, or what that is, emotional attachment styles, which is really interesting. I did a lot of work on emotional stuff, and as well as relationships and things like that through like COVID, and going through that and realizing what attachment style I had and why attachment style, what that means to each person. Like, so there's like an anxious attachment style, and there's like an avoidant attachment style, and then understanding underneath that, like what that, the core of that is from, and how to kind of meet those needs. So bizarre. Not bizarre, but it's cool, like how when we go, again, it's like going for these external things to fill these voids or get these needs met. So this was a very challenging.
If we get struck by lightning today and all that's left is this little audio, what is your legacy?
Oh, my legacy? Like, I do feel like what I would love for people to like remember me by would be that when their experience with me is something that I left them better, you know, than how I guess started with them. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm with somebody, that they enjoy my time, they feel good about themselves, whatever it is, that it's an enjoyable experience. So one of those things that, especially that.
What is the better they would be, though?
Ooh, you know what I do like? And I hear this, and that's what I love. I think that's what it is like when they're like, you know, I never thought about it in this way, but this, or
you left them with a little
like
nugget,
a
lesson,
or they're like, hey, you know what, you said something the other day, and then this, or I never saw this in myself, so you know what, or the phone call where we were like, remember we were talking and we were, you know, you told me this, and this. Well, I went out and I did that. Like, I took that job, or I left that relationship, or whatever it was, you know, so that's where. That's
more than just accountability. That's more than an accountability coach.
Yeah.
That's that you actually.
Make an impact?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You offered an insight.
Yeah. I guess it's saying like, yeah, I just like the whole like being, and it took me so long to like do that. I feel like just in being like myself, you know, and being authentic. Right? Because there's all the things, all the masks and stuff. So I feel like that's one of the things where it was like, if I'm leaving this earth, where it's like, you know, she was authentic, she was herself, and that allowed me to do the same. I like that. I like when people can just be real, get messy, you know, don't need to be perfect.
Thank you for being my friend.
Oh, thank you, Stuart. You know I love you.
Oh, we get a hug.
We're hugging. I love it.
And thank you for doing this again.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me doing this. I mean, this is great. I love you.
I love you. Thank you, Mara. If you're interested in Mara's coaching, she and her partner Shane Gurney can be found on Facebook at Self Mastery Mindset Coaches, from stressful to successful. Self Mastery Mindset. Mara, thanks for being my friend.
Man Listening is a production of Unmediated LLC in cooperation with the Queen City Podcast Network and Balto Creative Media. Allison Andrews at Andrews Creative and Rachel Clapp-Miller are developmental producers. Sally Higgins at Higgins & Owens tries to keep us legal. Our music is A Day at the Park by the group Pictures of the Floating World. Your announcer is Catherine Smith. That's me. Please go to our Patreon page. You'll find us at patreon.com. Look for Man Listening, one word, no spaces. We hope you'll join us by becoming a member. A small investment can raise up the conversation. If you want exclusive member merch, like a t-shirt, we can arrange that too.
I really want to tell you how grateful I am to all the people who have supported Man Listening from the very beginning. Thanks so much.
Don't forget to support us at Patreon. We believe one voice can change the conversation. Click the subscribe button, and next week you'll hear...
I was so disconnected from everything outside of me that I wasn't even able to be fully present.
That's next week on Man Listening.